Hi, Mike Pierce here, better known as Antarctic Mike. I want to give you another practical application of my program, Leading at 90 Below Zero. At this particular point in the story, Ernest Shackleton and the 27 men have left England. They got down within about 20 miles of their goal, which was to land at a place called Vosel Bay. Now, the ship got stuck, and there was nothing they could do. And the currents of the Weddell Sea basically started carrying them away from their goal. Now, in this particular picture, we see here that the ship is completely stuck in ice. There's nothing they can do. Now, when the ship becomes stuck, if you look at the next picture here, the knee-jerk reaction is to start sawing. That's what these men are doing in this picture. They are desperately trying to do anything within their control to free the ship. Now, of course, Shackleton knew that this effort was probably going to be in vain. That ice was up to 6 feet thick, and at times it was forming faster than those men could poke, prod, saw, and do any and everything they could to free that ship. Now, here's where the lesson comes in the next photo. If you look now, you see these guys playing soccer out in the middle of what appears to be an ice field with the ship locked in ice in the background. You see, one of the things I really believe is that Shackleton taught his guys the greatest threat they faced was not the ship being stuck in the ice. In fact, it wasn't the ice at all. It wasn't the cold temperature. It wasn't the lack of food. Rather, the greatest threat they faced was the lack of their minds not staying engaged and moving forward at all times. Now let's transpose that into the real world. We look at all the enemies out there today, all of the things that can get our ship stuck in the ice, metaphorically. Our knee-jerk reaction is, well, the greatest enemy is the economy, the competition, the pricing points from another company who has something for $1 cheaper. While those are still factors, I believe, just like I think Shackleton really taught his guys, the greatest enemy that we face today is the lack of our minds not staying engaged and not moving forward at all times, regardless of the circumstances. Now, if you look at this photograph, this really tells this point, I think, in a very picturesque way. Because you see these guys playing soccer in the ice field, and you see the ship stuck in the background. The power of this photo is in the separation of the factor that is totally beyond your control from one that is totally within your control. The ship stuck in the ice represents what's totally out of your control. You remember from the previous picture, that ice is up to 6 feet thick. Saw as those guys may, that ship is not going to become free. Therefore, that ship represents something in our world metaphorically that we have no control over, whether it's the economy, the competition, the pricing, other factors that we have no control over, right? As good as we are, as hard as we try. On the other hand, we have the soccer match. And I believe the reason Shackleton had those guys engaged in soccer games was to keep their minds engaged and moving forward at all times, regardless of the conditions. Because in of itself, playing soccer in the middle of the Weddell field really has no bearing on whether or not they're going to get out of there. But it does have huge bearing on whether or not their minds stay engaged and move forward at all times. So the power of this picture, and what I recommend you do, you can actually print this photo, blow it up, send it in to get printed or print it on your home printer, print it up and put it out in an 8x10 frame, put it on your wall, and let it be a reminder, a visible reminder to you and to your people to, on a day-to-day basis, make sure that we're conscious about separating the factors that we can control from those that we can't. I really believe that a lot of the pressure that we face day to day really has its genesis point in this problem. The problem meaning we get confused on what we can and what we can't control. And we try and push against things, against walls that can't move. We try and free the ships that are stuck in the ice, so to speak, when we're not going to be able to do so. So let's make sure that on a day-to-day basis, we are only investing our time, our money, our resources, and our efforts into things that we actually can control, and let's let everything else go. Again, it's Antarctic Mike. Thank you for your time.